Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. In this video, I would like to share with you a mathematical proof from the Quran that will demonstrate to you and prove without any sort of a doubt that the number of units, or what is commonly known in current days as rak'ah. Rak'ah is not a Quranic word in terms of identifying the number of units in the Quran, but it's a common term that is being used by people. So by the end of this video, you're going to have a mathematical proof as to the number of units in the Salah, or the number of rak'ats in the Salah. So in the next few videos, just so you know the roadmaps, I'm going to go through these three verses, and by the time we are done with these three verses, you're going to know a lot about the Salah and how Salah has to be performed in the Quran. So we are not going to leave, as I have mentioned, we are not going to leave any stone unturned about the Salah in the Quran. So without further ado, let's get started with verse number 101 of chapter 4. So it says, وَإِذَا ضَرَبْتُمْ فِي الْأَرْضِ فَلَيْسَ عَلَيْكُمْ جُنَاحٌ أَن تَقْصُرُوا مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ إِنْ خِفْتُمْ أَن يَفْتِنَكُمُ الَّذِينَ كَفَرُوا. It says, whenever you're traveling in earth, there's no problem for you to do what? أَن تَقْصُرُوا مِنَ الصَّلَاةِ. It means that you shorten your salah. There's no problem if you decrease from your salah, or if you shorten your salah, but not all the time. What gives you a condition? Only and only if, so basically if إن خفتم أن يفتنكم الذين كفروا. If you are scared that those who disbelieve, الذين كفروا, might يفتنكم, they might cause trouble for you. They might disrupt you, they might attack you. This might happen in many scenarios, right? So let's say you are traveling and you are scared if you say prayers in airplane, let's say they might kick you out, or they might stop the plane, just for the sake of example. Or you are in a war, for example, and you are afraid, you are scared that if you stand for the Salah, somebody might attack you. So different scenarios. Next verse gives you the exact scenario. Next verse is the example of this. So we are going to get to the next verse as well. But before that, I just want, we are going to look at verse number 101 first, then we'll go to 102. So the question that I have for you, how do you shorten the Salah? How do you decrease from your Salah? Let's consider several scenarios, okay? And let's study them together, and let's see what we can understand from this. Okay, so let's look at scenario number 1. I have several scenarios. We're going to go down one by one. Let's do a hypothesis. Let's assume that Salah is a 4-unit or 4 rak'ah Salah. What we call nowadays as 4 rak'ah, or 4, I'm using units. So let's assume that's one. And you can do it for obviously different scenarios, 10, 11 units, 11, that's fine. Let's just start with 4 units or 4 rak'ah. And you get the hang of it, and then you can do it yourself. So we have a 4 rak'ah or 4 unit Salah. We want to shorten this. How many options do we have? We have an option to shorten it to 3 rak'ah Salah. We have an option to shorten it to 2 rak'ah or 2 unit Salah. We have the other option to shorten it to a 1 rak'ah. And so which one do we choose here? So which one would you choose? We don't know. So if a 4 rak'ah Salah was an option, you would have 3 choices here. 1, 2, 3. You would have all these choices to shorten your Salah to. So is there in the Quran anything that gives us an example of a 1 rak'ah, that how it was shortened from 4 rak'ah to any of this? No, there isn't. There is no example in the Quran. So in order to decide that, okay, I'm going to shorten it to 2 rak'ah, or I'm going to shorten it to 3 rak'ah, the only fallback you have is that you have to go back to some sort of an non-Quranic source. You have to go back to some sort of a hadith, and you have to do shirk. You have to associate someone else's saying or a verdict, a fatwa from a human being to complete the Quran here. And even that means that Allah revealed something that was incomplete. Allah forgot to mention in his Quran how Salah should be performed. That's a non-starter. If for a believer, that's a non-starter. If you think that you're not a believer, you have not known Allah yet. You have not known your Creator. If you think that Allah didn't know this situation and didn't give us detail about something as important as Salah, that is an evidence that you have not known. You don't even know the ABC of Quran. You have not known Allah. So we know just right off this that this first case won't work for us. So this is not going to pass the test. Let's go to the second scenario. Let's say the Salah is 3-unit Salah. It's a hypothesis. We say Salah, we are looking at it in a scientific manner. Let's say Salah is 3 units or 3 rak'ah Salah. So we have a 3 rak'ah Salah. How many options do we have to shorten it to? We can shorten it to 2, or we can shorten it to 1. How do we choose between 2 or 1? There is no way to choose. Again, the only way to do this is that you have to bring someone else into the equation. You have to bring a hadith or a source or someone or to give you a fatwa and something that, okay, yeah, I saw someone was passing by and he said that you have to shorten your Salah from 3 to 2 or from 2 to, and that doesn't work. Plus, also, there's no example in the Quran about this. So when there's no example, so you know that there's something not right over there. So this is shirk. We can't go down that route. Let's go to the third scenario. Now, let's say if we have a 2-unit or 2 rak'ah Salah. So we have a 2 rak'ah Salah. This is a very simple mathematical proof. Anyone could understand this. So remember, anyone should be able to understand the Quran. So how many options do we have to shorten our Salah to? Only one option. Only one option. So if we have a 2 units or a 2 rak'ah Salah, the only option that you have is that you can go from 2 to 1. 2 to 1. So is there an example of this in the Quran? Yes, there is. That's going to be the next verse. That's going to be verse number 102. So we are going to have a video about that. That's a very, very significant, important verse when it comes to Salah. So there is an example of this, and also there's only one option. So let's just think about it. So if Salah was 2 units or 2 rak'ah, when Allah said to the believers, let's go back 1400 years ago. Let's go back. It's 1400 years ago. Everybody was saying Salah 2 rak'ah. It was a well-known thing. And Allah revealed a verse to the Prophet that shortened from your Salah. Did Allah have to specify 1 rak'ah? No, because Salah was already 2 rak'ah. So everyone knew that the only option left for the Salah to be shortened to is 1 rak'ah. So would anyone ask any questions? No, because there was no other options. Salah was already a 2 rak'ah, a 2-unit act of turning towards Allah. So when Allah said shorten from it, decrease your Salah, it was very obvious. There was only one option. You could go to 1, right? So this is good. This is good. This is just, but let's not make a decision. Let's go to the next scenario. What if Salah was a 1-unit or Salah? Let's say Salah was 1 unit or 1 rak'ah. What would our options be? Okay, we have a 1-unit Salah. Our options would be to shorten it to a 0 rak'ah Salah. So it means basically don't even say Salah. So in this case, this is our funny case, right? So let's put a smiley face here. So this is our funny case. So if Salah was one rak'ah, because I have seen this, I have some people think that the Salah was 1 unit or 1 rak'ah. So if Salah was a 1 unit or 1 rak'ah, Allah revealed 101, this verse, 101, the verse number 101 of this chapter. So decrease from your Salah. So if you decrease from 1 rak'ah, where do you get? You get to 0 rak'ah. So basically don't even say Salah, right? So we know that this is not the case. Even though it is funny, it's hilarious, we like that, but we know that this is not the case. So there are some New Age hadith that says that Salah is Quran sessions. I'm pretty sure some people have heard from. So they say basically, I'm not even, it's not worth the paper it's written on. But I just put it in here. It says, so the question is, how much do we shorten it to? If it's Quran sessions, how do we say less Quran? Do we recite less Quran? So, okay, so where is the example in the Quran, if that is the case? So we know obviously this doesn't make sense. Where is the example in the Quran? There is no example of shortening Quran session in the Quran for this Salah. In fact, actually the next verse gives us the example of how this has to be done. Verse number 102, we are going to get to that. That gives us the example, and that itself totally just denies this. So, and then what about standing? What about aqim al-salah? What about qiyam? What about standing? If it's Quran session, you don't need to stand to read the Quran session. You could be sitting, right? You could be lying down and doing Quran session. So what happens to standing here? So what happens to bowing? يُؤْتُونَ الزَّكَاةَ وَهُمْ رَاكِعُونَ. I showed you that those who give zakah while bowing down. So I showed that video to you. So what about bowing? What about prostration? فِي آذَانِهِمْ. It means in their foreheads. مِنْ أَثَرِ السُّجُودِ. So in their foreheads there is the mark of prostration. So what about that? Or يَخِرُّونَ لِلْأَذْقَانِ سُجَّدًا. Or they fall towards the direction of their chin, not alal adqan, not under chins, but lil adqan. It means towards the direction of their chin. So they fall towards the direction of their chin in prostration, which if you look at your chin and its direction, it tells you exactly where you have to do the prostration. So what about this? Well, no, they don't care. None of this matters because they just don't follow the Quran. They follow the New Age hadith. So remember, we are here to just only follow the Quran. We are here to purify ourselves and our religion for Allah. So as you can see, none of these scenarios matter. This is a very simple mathematical proof that tells you, that proves to you without any doubt that Salah at the time of the Prophet was a 2-unit or 2 rak'ah act of turning towards Allah. So when Allah mentioned issued the command to shorten from it, well, everyone knew the only option they had was to shorten it to 1 rak'ah Salah. So this should be very, very clear. Again, you see, this is not science. This is not rocket science. This is very simple to understand logical and reasonable mathematics that people at the time of the Prophet would understand. Whenever you see something that is too complicated, too complex to understand or to fathom, know that that's the way of Satan. Run the other way. Quran was revealed to the people at the time of the Prophet in Arabia. It's nothing complex. It's something simple that people at that time could understand based on logic, based on reason. And we discussed this verse before, obviously, so you are aware it's the exact same. You see, even this verse is verifying and confirming the number of Salah, just like the An taqumu lillah mathna wa furada, 2 and 1. So 2 and 1. So I have a video on this. I have 2 videos on this on this verse. So you can watch that just to clarify it for yourself. But again, you see 2, 1, again 2, 1 over there as well. Okay, my brothers and sisters, this should 100% prove to you I think I'm going to close the chapter of number of units or number of rak'ah in Salah after this video, because I mean there is nothing. If you still don't want to believe this, if you still want to do what you're not do it 4 rak'ah, 3 rak'ah, or just not say, that's up to you. No, la ikraha fid din. No compulsion in religion, brothers and sisters. But if Allah doesn't want to guide you, there's nothing I can do. So Quran makes it very, very clear that Salah is a 2 rak'ah or 2 units act of turning towards Allah. So in next video, we are going to go over actually the detail of Salah and how it has to be performed, inshallah. So peace and blessings to all of you.